Hi everybody and welcome to Gerda Steiner Designs. I'm Allison and today we're going to play with our cute little honeybee. So I printed him out on my paper and I've also created a mask, and we're going to use these cute little honeycomb masks over top of him, and I've cut them out of some post-it note style paper, so they're adhesive on one side, and we're going to pull out our Copic Airbrush system. And we're going to grab some paper just to work over top so I don't spray everything all over my work surface. And I'm going to concentrate our B45 all across the edges of our bee and up and over top of all of those honeycomb images there. We're just adding a nice light layer, kind of fading it off to the edges, making sure that everything's covered so that all those shapes turn up once we peel off that mask. Now we're going to bring in a darker blue, a B95, and we're going to concentrate it just around the edge of our bee just to make him pop and stand out a little bit more. We're going to peel off those honeycomb masks, and we're going to add just a hint of a really, really light teal, a BG11, right over top. So we haven't taken off the mask of our bee, so it's just going to show up in that white space in those honeycomb. So it just adds a little bit more interest. Finally, we're going to do a reveal and peel off our bee mask, and we're going to begin by coloring. I decided to start with a Y02 as my base yellow. I colored in half of his stripes and his face, putting a nice coat of that yellow down to basically I'm going to dampen my paper, and it's going to allow for easier blending. We're going to pull in our medium yellow color, which is a Y06, and I'm just going to add tiny bits of shadow down the sides of his face and down the sides of his body. Then we're going to bring in a Y17, and we're going to add some of those kind of furry little details and adding a little bit more shading and shadows around the bee body. I'm gonna give him some cute little eyelids and put some dark spots underneath his mouth and down the sides of his body again. Just with some really light flicking motions out towards the center. Oh, and I forgot his eyebrows, had to go back and do those. And then we're just gonna take our lighter yellow again and just blend that in together. There we go. Right down the sides of his face, and here we come in with our lightest yellow and just doing a quick blend. Perfect, just to soften everything just a touch. Now we're going to start on the darker stripes on our bee, and we're going to put down a layer of C1 right across, and then we're going to bring in our secondary gray marker, a C3, and again I'm using that light flicking motion and leaving that kind of highlight kind of right down his center of his body. I'm going to bring in a C5 to even darker, adding darker stripes. Again, we're leaving that highlight down the center of his body, even on his tail. And then we're going to bring in an even darker marker, a C7, and just richening up those sides of his body. Again, flicking motions, very, very little. And he is just adorable. We're going into his wings now. We're putting down a light layer of BG10, which is a light teal. Then we're going to take a V01, which is a really, really light purple, and just kind of give a hint down the centers of his wings. We're going to bring in a little bit deeper purple, a V04, and deepen that purple again. I'm going to color up his hat there. We've got a base of V01, and then a V04 is the richer purple color, and I'm going to blend it again with the V01. We've got a V17 and a V38 to finish off those polka dots, and we're going to do a sign with a V01 base, a little bit of dark V04 on the edges, and then I'm just going to come in with that V01 to blend out those harsh edges. And look at that, a cute little card. Just fixing up some of his eyes. Now we're going to do some die cutting. I took my stitch oval dies and I put 2 of them on in concentric to one another. I'm just using some tape to hold them in place. And there we go. We now have 3 pieces. I'm going to use some foam tape here, but in a second we're going to put down just a base of tape and layer our first layer down. Then we're going to add a single layer of our foam tape, and I'm just cutting it into a skinny strip. If you peel off the backing, then it becomes a lot more pliable and you can take it around those curves very, very easily. And voila! And we're going to put that in place, back into its spot. I'm just matching up that kind of bee flight line there in the corner. And now I'm doubling up my foam tape, and we're going to adhere it to the back of our center panel, which of course has our little bee friend on there. And we're going to ensure that I've got foam tape all the way out to the edges, otherwise my little bee critter could get dented in the mail. So just finishing up putting in all those pieces. I love foam tape because you can alter it to basically any size, which is great. And you can use up all those little teeny pieces in the circles because you never have a circular cut on it. So peeling the backer off, lining up that center. There we go. Squish it down. Now we're going to add some sparkle. So I've got my Stardust Stickles. It's one of my favorites. I have a few bottles of this. I've added it to the polka dots on his hat, his wings. Yep, got to make them sparkly. And then we're going to bring in some glossy accents to just the tips of his antenna and his feet and legs, just to make them shiny. And one last piece of shine, I'm going to bring in my sparkle pen and go over his Hap-Bee birthday. And voila! Thanks for joining me. Have a great day, guys.